Well, the biggest problem with couples, I find, is that you have to learn to live together. You're not just one person. You're not a selfish person anymore. Joining me right now is Debra MacLeod, author and relationship expert. Debra, what do you find to be the biggest problems with couples?
I think one of the biggest problems is that they don't have a sense of permanence. And I think, especially with longer-term couples that have been together 20, 30, 50 years, they really see themselves as being in it for the long haul. Ups and downs, they take it all. But a lot of couples nowadays, they just bail really, really, really quick. And that's why we have this sort of phenomenon of starter marriages, right? But the problem with starter marriages is that they come with starter kids who then become, you know, stepkids and blended families and just a whole world of
I'm sorry.
stuff.
I hate to cut you off, but did you just say starter marriages? Is this a
Yeah.
real term? I've never heard starter.
This is a real term, and this is a real phenomenon. Couples who are in their early 20s, mid-20s typically, sometimes a little bit older, and they're married for a couple of years, they drop 1 or 2 kids, and then they go on to the next marriage. It's like a trainer marriage. I'm not kidding you. It's very common.
Okay, well, this is news to me, and definitely an expensive way to do things, you know.
Yeah.
But I know, like, there's a lot of jokes about, you know, marry the first time for love, second time for money, and all that stuff like that.
Right.
But you know, that's the number one thing. You're not really disagreeing with that, are you?
Depends how much money.
Okay. Well, you know, that's the number one thing that you see when it comes to couples. When things aren't working out, what do they got to do to pull things back?
I think they have to recognize early on that they're feeling disconnected, and I think they need to identify those issues right away and sort of get involved in some conflict resolution, some communication skills. Because when we take premarital counseling, the couples that do take it, they ask you things like, well, you know, name 10 things you love about him. And I mean, that's so freaking easy to do. You're like, I can name 100. He's just so wonderful, right? But 5 years later, with 3 kids and, you know, $60,000 pickup in the driveway you can't afford, it's not all that in a bag of chips anymore. So I think just being more realistic and identifying those problems early. I mean, statistics have shown that couples who are in crisis usually wait 7 to 10 years to get help. So I think that's a huge problem.
Well, thank you very much. That's the 7-year itch, I guess, that you always talk about. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. We'll be back next time with Debra MacLeod, relationship expert and author.